So let's talk about carrying over when it comes to addition and what really is carrying over. What is carrying over anyway? When you think about our world revolves around a numerical system. And in our numerical system, everything really revolves around the number 1. We have 10 digits, numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's 10 digits. But really the base of that whole numerical system is the number 1. Everything's based off of the number 1. And so we look at that. That's going to help us understand why we carry over and why we need to carry over. So everything is based off of number 1. Let's look at it. So if I have a number here, so let's say it's to the far right, I have the number 1. If I need to move over to the next space, if you will, the next space in a number, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 1 times 10. And when I multiply 1 times 10, I'm going to get the number 10. And that's going to be the tens place. And then if I need to move over again to the next place, I'm going to multiply 10 times 10. And that 10 times 10 is going to give us 100. So you see right here represented the ones place, the tens place, and the hundreds place. And when we look at that, it's almost like they're buckets, right? We have the ones place, the tens place, and the hundreds place. They're like the bucket. So, the ones place will hold a certain amount, and each bucket, if you will, each place in a number has a certain value. So the ones place is going to hold ones, right? The tens place is going to hold tens, and the hundreds place is going to hold hundreds, right? And what happens here is that, anytime we're looking at this is exactly what we're seeing, how we're moving up by 10 each time we move. But what happens here, when each place is holding the ones, the tens, or the hundreds, whenever it gets over 9 units in that particular bucket, if you will, we have to carry over to the left. So when we get 9 ones, we can keep it in that bucket, but as soon as we get to 10, we have to carry over. We can keep 9 tens in the tens place, but if we get to 10 tens, we got to carry that one over. And 10 tens we know is 100s. And it kind of goes on there. We can keep 9 hundreds in the hundreds place, but once we get to the 10th one, we got to carry that over as well. So let's look at an example of that and what that might look like in a number. So let's say we have the number 109 plus 83. I'm going to go ahead and add this up, right? So I have 9 plus 3 is 12. I know that. And essentially 12 is 12 ones. So it's a group of 10 ones and 2 ones. So 10 ones plus 2 ones is 12. So I can carry over one of those 10s right there. So now I have a 10 there. And that 10 plus that 8, that's going to be 9. That really represents 90, right? That represents 90. And now I can just go ahead and add that 1. And this number 109 plus 83 is equal to 192. That's how we carry over. Let's look at another example. Let's say I have the number 238 plus 73. Let's go ahead and see what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead. That's 11. So I know I have 10 ones and 1 1. So I have to carry over that group of 10 here. And I'm going to go ahead and say 3 plus 1 is 4 plus 7 is 3, right? Or plus 7 is 11. So once again, I'm going to have 1 10 that I keep, but there are 10 tens I'm going to have to carry over. I'm going to have to carry over that 1. And now I essentially have 100. I'm carrying over 1. That's 100 plus 200. That's going to be 300. So that's essentially how that works. That the answer is 311. But let's look at it another way. Let's take another dive into this number. And let's break this apart. So I have 238 plus 73 that we know is 311. Let's look at this a different way. Let's say I have 200 plus 0. So I'm looking at both numbers, the number on top and the number on the bottom, and I'm saying how many hundreds do I have? Well, right there I can look, I have 2 hundreds in the first number and I have 0 hundreds in the second number. And then when I move over to the tens place, I have 3 tens, which is 30, and I have 7 tens, which is 70. So 3 tens in the first number and 7 tens in the second number. So that's 30 plus 70. And then when I look at the last part, I have 8 ones plus 3 ones. And when I add this all up together, I'm going to have 200, right? Plus 100, that's what I will do, plus 11. And you can see right there that obviously 238 plus 73 is equal to 311. So you can even break it apart like that as you look at it and you see what you're doing. So essentially this is what we're saying. Each place in a number has value. And whenever that space gets over 9 units that it's holding that bucket, we have to carry over to the next one. So that's essentially what carrying over and why we have to carry over. It's really easy if you work with your child and you explain it to them. But essentially you think about the place values as if they're buckets and they can't hold more than 9 until you have to carry over to the next space.